Ever had pay come late and thought, should we walk out? The men who built the pharaoh's tombs did. They left a note that proves it. Year 29 of Ramesses III. The royal tomb builders at Deir el-Medina put down their tools. Their grain rations are weeks late. Bread and beer are gone. They lock their doors and file out of the walled village into the desert light. They sit across a temple causeway and block the gate. Officials hurry over with guards and scribes. The workers hand them a written complaint. We are hungry. Bad has been done in this place. It is calm. It is firm. It is the first labor strike we can read in history. That note survives on a sheet now called the Turin Strike Papyrus. It records a walkout by skilled men who carved royal tombs. Literate artisans who knew how to use words as a tool. They do not smash. They sit. They write. They win a meal. Roll back to the start of the reign. Ramesses III rules around 1186 to 1155 before the Common Era. He is the last great king of Egypt's new kingdom. His name is cut deep in stone at Medinet Habu, his vast mortuary temple on the west bank of Thebes. Walk up to Medinet Habu and look up. Huge pylons rise above you. The walls are crowded with battles. Prisoners stand in lines as scribes count hands and names. Long lists boast of gifts to the gods. Boats, fields, cattle. The message is simple. Egypt is rich and strong. Egypt still draws gold from Nubia. The Nile still floods and lays down black silt. The fields answer with grain. The old empire's glow still hangs on Egypt's name. Centuries of triumph set the pose. This looks like a state that will last forever. How did it all seem so permanent? It ran like a machine. Temples pulled in offerings and land. Scribes tracked it in neat hands. Soldiers guarded borders and tax routes. Skilled artisans turned river surplus into stone and ceremony. In the Valley of the Kings, royal tombs went down into the rock. The men of Deir el-Medina were elite. They could read and write. They worked in tight crews and swore to secrecy. They cut corridors by torchlight and painted gods on fresh plaster. The workforce had two main crews. People called them the left and the right. At the core were around 100 to 120 artisans. With families, the village held a few hundred souls. Children grew up within mud-brick walls beside the desert. The king also fought. In year 5 and year 11, he faced Libyan invasions on the west. He fought them off and raised victory scenes. Spears, bows, and chariots cut across the stone. The borders held, but each fight cost pay and supplies. In year 8 came the Sea Peoples, groups on the move by land and water. Ramesses III claims he beat them on land at a place called Jahi in the Levant. He claims he stopped them on the river mouths of the delta as well. The stone shows it as clear as day. Look close at the naval battle at Medinet Habu. Ships crowd into each other. Oars tangle. Archers rake decks with arrows. Hooked prows catch and hold. Egyptian boats press in, while the king towers above in perfect pose. Behind those ships roll ox carts with families and goods. This is not just an army. It is people on the move. The wall says Egypt won. It also shows the line of defense is at Egypt's door. This is not conquest abroad. This is a stand at home. Victory is real, but the bill comes due. War needs men, grain, copper, and wood. Fleets and garrisons burn through stores. Temple endowments also lock away land and labor from the crown. The state can take less tax from its own gifts to the gods. Trade around the Mediterranean is shaken. Fewer imports reach the Nile. Cedar, tin, and fancy oils grow scarce. The system is still moving, but it now drags its feet. Delays start to creep into the ledgers. At Deir el-Medina, wages are rations, grain that the state turns into bread and beer. Deliveries slip. Bins do not fill on time. Jars sit sealed too long or are opened to find only crumbs. A scribe lifts his brush and hesitates over a half-tally. This village runs on trust in regular pay. There is no coin to make up a gap. In the late Ramesside years, the ostraka, which are notes on pottery shards, show prices in deben. That is a weight of copper or bronze. The numbers tick up. That means inflation in daily life. If the ration does not come, there is no fallback. Hunger arrives fast. Families count loaves and thin beer. People ask the gate watchers when the next delivery will pass. The same men who cut tomb walls now fear an empty pot. So, they act. The crews stage sit-ins at mortuary temples, places like the Ramesses. They sit across the causeway and block the door in a quiet wedge of bodies. They do not attack the gods. They ask the state to honor its word. Officials receive written petitions. The tone is respectful, but firm. We are hungry. Bad has been done in this place. The men want rations, not drama. The bureaucracy jolts awake. Partial grain is rushed out to ease the heat. We can hear their voices through the Turin Strike Papyrus today. It is plain, direct, and human. These are not nobles or generals. These are workers who know the law and the value of their skill. They use the pen as a lever and move the machine. The cracks do not close. Delays come back. Petitions become the normal tool, not a one-time shock. Scribes record arrears on ostraka. Dates and tallies pile up. You can read the strain like a slow alarm that never stops ringing. Behind each polite note is a simple truth. The state cannot pay on time. Not in year 29. Not after. The image in stone stays bright. The storehouses behind it grow patchy. Trust wears thin in the very village that guards royal sleep. While this grinds on, a palace plot grows in secret. It is later called the harem conspiracy. Courtiers and a royal son plan to remove the king. In quiet rooms, messages pass and oaths are made. Power inside the court splits. After Ramesses III is gone, trials begin under his son, Ramesses IV. The judicial papyrus of Turin records them. The text reads like cold office prose. Names, charges, sentences. Some men are executed. Some are forced to take their own lives. For years, it was a debate whether the plot killed the king. Modern scans settled it. A CT study of the mummy shows a deep cut at the throat. It was enough to end his life. An ancient coup proven by 21st century eyes. Still, the state tries to move like before. Ramesses IV launches a vast quarry push to Wadi Hammamat in year 3. 8,368 men march with guards and donkeys. Desert rock keeps score. Inscriptions list divisions, supplies, and deaths. Those lines on stone show a machine that still turns, but every step costs more food and more copper. The old age of plenty is gone. You can see the will. You can also see the strain in each chisel stroke. By the time of Ramesses IX, around 1110 before the Common Era, a new crisis fills the files. Tomb robbery. The Abbott Papyrus reads like a detective report. Inspectors go into the Valley of the Kings with torches and authority. They check plaster seals on tomb doors. They trace cracks with reed pens and mark breaches. They question guards, and listen to confessions. The story is grim. Tunnels dug in, gold stripped from royal mummies, treasures melted down into bland lumps. Some thieves are not strangers in the night. They are insiders, guards, necropolis police, workmen. The very system meant to protect the dead is now eating itself to stay alive. That is what real decline can look like on the ground. Egypt's map shrinks during these years. The empire in Canaan had already thinned. Frontier forts and garrisons now struggle to keep even small posts. Abroad, the glow fades. At home, people feel inflation and arrears in their bellies. The new kingdom still wears the mask of might. Pylons stand high. Reliefs gleam under the sun. Behind them are empty bins and late payments. The pose of a conqueror now covers a crouch of defense. The end comes not with a single crash, but with a split. After Ramesses XI, who dies around 1077 to 1069, before the Common Era, power divides. One line rules the north, another controls the south. In the delta, a man named Smendes, also called Nesba-Nebjed, rules from Tanis. In Thebes in the south, the high priests of Amun hold the reins. The crown is no longer a single center. The new kingdom is over. In these years, priests and officials take old royal mummies out of plundered tombs. They rewrap them and hide them in caches. It is care and retreat at once. The age of warrior kings gives way to caretakers and clerics. Back at Deir el-Medina, life withers. The village that once buzzed with paydays and secrets grows thin. Work slows as royal tomb building winds down. Families pack up and leave. Doors stand open to bare rooms. In the Valley of the Kings, silence piles up. Half-carved pillars and blank walls sit in the dark. The echo of chisels is gone. The community that wrote its own story leaves us its last receipts and complaints like dry leaves. What remains today is close enough to touch. You can walk the lanes of Deir el-Medina. Mud brick lines the path. You can almost hear a child call around a corner. In museums you can see the names of workmen inked on ostraca. You can stand before the battle walls at Medinet Habu, count the sea peoples with the ancient scribes, follow the hooked prows with your finger, and trace the push and pull of that famous fight. It is all still there when the sun hits the stone. You can read the Strike Papyrus and the Abbott Papyrus in translation. You can meet Ramesses III himself, behind glass, his body now still. The wound on his neck closes his story. It also opens ours to the human voice in this fall. Why does this fall matter? It shows how stone can lie. A state can look strong in art and still be weak in its pay chests. Real people, skilled and literate, pushed back with words and won at least a meal. Empires do not always explode. They fray, first a strike, then shortages, then thefts. At the end, a quiet split. If you want more stories like this, subscribe and drop a like. Explore the channel for Egypt, Rome, and the city's time left in dust. This is Dustkings. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.